Greetings, travelers. I'm Josh,
And I'm Kahi.
and we're the
The
Genshin
Genshin
Guys.
guys.
Welcome all. This podcast is for fans of Genshin Impact, the mobile game made by Hoyoverse, formerly known as MiHoYo. Here we talk about our opinions, experiences, and dreams about Genshin Impact. We have new episodes every Monday, so if you like our show, don't forget to subscribe on Apple Music, Spotify, or wherever you are listening to the podcast. So to get us started, Kahi, how are you doing today?
Well, I had a wonderful rest, a wonderful sleep. I was in a good mood this morning until I read Reddit and Twitter. And as always, Genshin community is imploding. So definitely good topic for discussion today, and a lot of things to talk about and in a more level-headed fashion. I'm sure we have our own personal takes, which of course may be in the vocal minority or majority or vocal or not, but I'm sure we're gonna have a lovely discussion about that today. What about you, Josh? How's it going up there?
Everything is going good for me. I played a lot of Genshin this past week. Of course, like you say, the community has always so much to talk about. So we're gonna dive into that a little bit later today. But yeah, I'm doing pretty good. So let's go ahead and get started then with our topics, which I will introduce right now, which are our week in Genshin, Genshin news, of course. We're gonna talk about the dev interview with GameSpot that has been making the rounds online, that has been the topic of discussion in a lot of circles of Genshin, of the Genshin community. And we'll give our impressions, and we'll give a little bit of a highlight, an overview, and then we'll give our impressions. And then, of course, lastly, we will do our community discussion. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started then with our week in Genshin. Okay, so this week in Genshin, Kahi, what have you been up to?
So I have finally finished the Archon quest as well as a very long, it should have been voiced side quest. I met Jabrail and Jet, and I have got to say that is the best side quest I have ever gone through in this game. The story was, it was mature. It didn't care if things happened. It was able to actually hit more emotionally rather than just seeing something happen and you're just a spectator. You definitely felt like you were part of it. I love just going around and just getting lost in these places because half the map is underground. I love that. But yeah, I got to experience that great side story. I got to explore everything except, getting clearance for all the other hidden passageways. But I also told you this one. I got lucky and got Candace on my first roll, so I get to save up even more for my other characters later on. I still spent more than I wanted to on Kokomi a while ago, but I'm actually having a lot of fun in this new zone. I'm gonna say hands down, Sumeru is the best expansion to the game. But what about you, Josh? Anything that you found in the game? Anything that you found interesting or intriguing, or anything on the side that you found?
Yeah, for me, I want to talk about two things this past week. One is out of game in real life. I went to the Genshin collab cafe, like collaboration cafe that they have with Sweets Paradise in Japan right now, and they're doing it for the next month. And every week they're highlighting a different character's birthday because there's a lot of birthdays. And there's like a ton of different themed foods that you can get there. Of course, they're not like super amazing taste wise all the time, but they're very cute and thematic, which is like a lot of collaboration cafes here in Japan. And it was Ayaka's birthday, so whenever you bought a certain amount of like merchandise and things up to a certain dollar amount, you get like free Ayaka birthday card. And so they're gonna be doing that every week for different characters. I'm gonna go again on Kazuha week at the end of the month, which is gonna be really fun. But I got so much cool stuff, and yeah, I'm really excited to actually share with everybody in my live stream, which I plan to do in a couple weeks. So stay tuned for more information on that. I want to do like a podcast listener live stream and show you guys some cool exclusive Genshin Japanese, Japan exclusive Genshin stuff, as well as play some games and stuff on stream. So look forward to that. So then after the Genshin collab, actually at the Genshin collab, I want to talk about in game now. I rolled and got Sino and Candace. Took me almost to pity for
Hey,
Sino,
congrats.
right? Yay! But I only got one. I only got two Candaces so far, and I've rolled probably like close to 150 times. So, at least I got one because I know 4 stars are notoriously hard to get for some people. Like Hazo was really hard to get for a lot of people. But I'm excited because like Candace at C1 is a really really good unit for what I want to do. So, and we'll talk more about that later. But I'm glad that I got them. I also started the Ballads and Brews event, the Of Ballads and Brews event in Mondstadt, which is the Razor centric event. And I haven't finished it yet, but it's pretty great so far. Like I love seeing all the Mondstadt characters just show up. Especially since it's been so long since we've seen them like canonically in the Archon quest. So, that's a really nice event to have going on right now. Gives us a little bit of a different feel than the desert or the jungle of Sumeru. I also finished the Archon quests, which was really great. Like I think the story was really fun, and we will talk more about that next week. After we give some time to people who want to finish or have not finished the Archon quest just yet. I've also been collecting a lot of scarabs and flowers for Sino and Candace, of course. So running around the desert with Tanari on, because Tanari can see all the resources on the map. He's very,
Oh,
very
I did not
useful.
know that.
Yes, very,
It would have been
very
nice to
useful.
know. I thought Kole was gonna be able to do that, but apparently not. But it
Yeah.
makes sense why Tainari can.
Yeah, and I didn't know either when I got him, and then I was like, oh, what? I didn't know that. And so I've been using it, and in the desert, it's super easy because it's just a big flat open land, and you can just like you see it on the map, you just go there, and there's the resource, like the scarabs, the flowers. So actually, it actually
Well,
is
there's a lot of
enjoyable.
underground too.
The underground part I haven't gotten to yet because I didn't do
Yeah.
that world quest
Hmm.
yet, but as far as like just running around the part where there is no underground, like closer to the entrance of the desert, it's pretty easy to find resources while having Tenari because they show up on the map and you can just walk there. There's not much obstructing you from getting there.
You leave
And
pins though, right?
oh yeah, of course, I leave pins. I don't like
Yeah. So
necessarily looking up the interactive map every time I go farming. I just kind of like to casually farm, look for treasure chests at the same time, and clear my map while looking for resources. But did you? I saw this actually. It's so funny. I found this and then I saw it blow up on Twitter afterwards. Did you find the hidden sky path treasure chest on the left side of the
yeah,
map?
I actually made a Reddit post on it.
Oh,
Yeah,
you did. You
I
did.
found it
Okay.
accidentally. I
Yeah, yeah,
solved it
same.
myself.
Yeah, same. I found it accidentally, and then I went on Twitter and I found that like it was just showing up on my timeline from multiple people. Um, but yeah, it wasn't that great. Like, I don't want to spoil it for anyone that
And I
hasn't
actually
found it yet, but
learned. I actually learned Mona and Ayaka, their alt sprint doesn't let them fall off the ledge because they don't have an animation for it. So they
yeah,
just go up to the edge. I didn't know that.
yeah, it's very useful
I
for
should
this
probably do
specific
that more.
situation. Anyway, for those who don't know what we're talking about, I hope you find it. There is a hidden sky path treasure chest. If you want to know where it is, look it up. But I will give you a hint. It is on the left side, the west side of the Sumeru Desert. So,
It is near a teleporter.
it is near a teleport. That is a good hint too. So, um, like if you cut the whole desert in half, left side. Okay. All right. So anyway, that was mostly my week. So, lots of stuff. I've been playing so much. I really, really am enjoying Genshin again. Kind of feeling that feeling of exploration and new like Kahi, like you said. I also, for me personally, this is probably the best expansion to the game so far. And I don't know, maybe it's timing, maybe it's like because of the way we were feeling about the game for a little bit, like kind of stale about certain things, but I'm really enjoying this update a lot. So that concludes our weeks in Genshin. So the next thing I want to talk about is the Genshin news. Okay, so this week in Genshin, what have we got for you? We have Ayaka's birthday was on September 28th. Yay, happy birthday,
Happy birthday,
Ayaka!
best girl.
Yes. Happy birthday, best girl. um, and the Of Ballads and Brews event began. So the Mondstadt event that we were just talking about. Definitely don't forget to do that if you're interested in the lore. you're interested in Mondstadt, if you want free resources and primo gems and you know want to try these new gameplay mechanics. I don't know. So there's some of them are not exactly new. They have that negotiating with NPCs game mini game. They have of course they have fighting stuff mini game, but they have a couple different things. So definitely encourage you to check it out. You have about 2 weeks from the time of this recording to go and do that. So
And if you really want a cool little lore hint, they do hint at the captain of the Harbingers, so you definitely want to do it if you just want to learn about what's going on with him.
oh, okay. I did not get that far, but they also talk about of course, I think we saw this in the preview, but they talk about Varka a little bit, the head of the Knights of Favonius, the acting grandmaster. I know the grandmaster, not the acting grandmaster, but the grandmaster who is away on an expedition. And Jean is acting grandmaster, so he's technically Jean's boss, Jean's superior, and he's a very very important character lore wise. Hopefully to see him playable one day, but we'll see. He's a significant character in Tevat's history. So we have that of Ballads and Brews event going on, and we have the Canvas of Starlight Memories event, along with many other short term second anniversary events. So the Canvas of Starlight Memories event is an event that you get a lot of free Primo Gems for, so I definitely recommend it. But it goes through your history of Genshin. So it tells you like what your most played character is like in domains. It tells you when certain characters joined your party, when you got to certain areas for the first time. Like, oh, like this is the date that you started the game. This is the date that you first went to Inazuma. Um, it does like a highlight reel in like a really cute animation drawing of the characters of like all the characters in the game. So I definitely recommend you to check that out if you're interested in free Primo Gems, but also in just your game history. For us, I've been playing for a long time. It's a very, very interesting thing to see because we don't really see this data anywhere else. I mean, you can see it in the achievements, I guess, but put out visually, it's a very, very nice event for reflecting, I think. So, along with the Canvas of Starlight Memories event, we have like a bunch of other small second anniversary events that are either web events or like sort of like, check this survey kind of thing, or like log into this, check into this. Like there's a couple different things. So, I don't want to go over them on here because they kind of come and go pretty quickly. So, they're usually like a week's time for some of them. So I would recommend you just go check out the Hoyo Lab app if you don't already have it. Or the in-game notification area should tell you as well. Now, one of the other things that I want to mention in the news today is the Genshin Concert 2022. So that was a very, very awesome concert that was put on by Hoyoverse for Genshin specifically. Hoyo Mix, I believe, is like the name of like their like music studio area, but they actually for this event had a bunch of different what looks like a bunch of different people from a bunch of different places doing different styles and different renditions of the music in game. So they had like jazz version of the opening, they had they had like super hardcore rock versions of some songs. They did pick songs that were like for the rock songs they picked like Senora's song for one of them, which is like already pretty hardcore, you know, of a music. But I think the original one is more orchestrated, and this one was more of like a rock cover. So, Kahi, did you get a chance to see the concert yet?
No, I was enjoying my sleep too much. So I like fell asleep like right after we had that other conversation, but there was like a lot that I wanted to get prepared for this particular episode, but that was like that and the game show was like one of those videos where I thought I don't know if I want to spend that much time because we have the episode we got to record, so I didn't get to watch it yet. I might later on today, but
Hmm.
not yet.
Well, for the concert, I definitely recommend watching, or like while you're doing something, kind of like have it on in the background. But like have good headphones on because it is really, really, of course, high quality. We know the music in this game is super high quality, so I definitely recommend watching that when you get the chance. Okay, Kahi, moving on to the dev interview discussion. I have read the interview in question, which was an interview done by GameSpot. Why don't you take us through that real quick?
Yeah, so there's a couple of takeaways from this one. There's they had like a bunch of questions to say like if they were going to have this or not, and then there had questions that were probing for a much deeper answer into like design philosophy and just what guides their decision making. So I'm going to start off with the most controversial quote from the developers themselves regarding Endgame, because this is the one that everyone is thinking is the end of the game. So the quote is from the developers themselves regarding adding another thing like the spiral abyss. So the quote from the developer says, if we design another type of permanent endgame that is similar to the spiral abyss, it might end up creating excessive anxiety for our players. Not everyone is interested in Musk Reef. Now, I want to basically try to take this with a grain of salt in addition to like my own personal beliefs and reactions to this. I don't, because the developers are based in China and of course there's a language barrier. I don't know if this particular developer is a native English speaker and that was just like their best way to translate it, or it was an English speaker and that's exactly the words that they chose. But regardless, their whole thing about not making another type of spiral abyss for the reason of not wanting to cause excessive anxiety for the players, that particular part is what a lot of people are reacting to.
Mm.
However, right afterwards, it says not everyone is interested in Musk Reef. I probably agree with that part way more. I also, to some degree, agree with, to some extent, I agree with the making another thing similar to Spiral Abyss, creating more anxiety for players. Yeah, I can understand that one. And if I had to like lean towards agree or disagree, I kind of agree. But overall, I don't look forward to doing Spiral Abyss. That is not a thing that I earnestly look forward to building my characters and say, yeah, I'm going to get them ready for Spiral Abyss. I get my characters leveled up because I want them to defeat all the open world mobs and domains a little faster. But what's your initial reaction to that phrase? Like what do you take away from that?
Yeah. So for me, I also think that like so for me personally, what I've always wanted is like a Spiral Abyss that's co-op. If they make the current Spiral Abyss co-op, then that's honestly fine with me. Um, but the creating excessive anxiety for our players, like so, I think that them saying that design another permanent end game that's similar to Spiral Abyss, like if they say similar to Spiral Abyss, if that means like combat based, then yeah, I think that could be like kind of iffy in the sense that like one of the game's most unique selling points is its combat, and so like if they don't like highlight that, then I feel like yeah, that is like a missed opportunity on their part. But it also depends because so here's the thing, like they do a lot of experimenting with combat and mechanics in the events, right? In a lot of the different temporary events. And in those events, they have things like extra effects and extra items that like enhance your abilities, etc., etc. It's funny because they say that this might end up making giving our players anxiety when I think that to me personally, I get more anxiety from the limited events that I have to finish before they're done. Like I went to the first year of the game basically never playing Spiral Abyss. Like I just like didn't even think about it. I kind of just forgot about it, honestly. Um and like you said, I also build up my characters to play through the story and the world and explore. Um but now I'm more interested in playing Spiral Abyss just because like yeah, I think it's fun to like find ways to combine characters and stuff. But I also agree um that the majority of the player base probably doesn't play Spiral Abyss. Like I played the game a lot, like since almost day one, and I don't play Spiral Abyss that much. And it's not that I don't like it or that I'm not even particularly interested in it, but I feel like it's always there, so I can go back and do it when I want. Um, but yeah,
So the thing
yeah.
about Spiral Abyss, the way I look at Spiral Abyss, I only look at it as an event that can not an event. It's just a domain that you can complete one time for more Primo Gems. Once I complete it, I don't ever touch it again until like the next reset, which is like what, 2 weeks?
5 weeks.
A little more than 2 weeks. The domain. Wait, no, the Spiral Abyss.
Oh, spoilers, 2 weeks.
Doesn't it give
You're
you
right,
like
you're
a
right. 2
new?
weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah. I do it once and then I never touch it again. It's not something I look forward to. It reopens and I can get more Primo Gems. That's all I look at it as. It's Here's the thing: the domains. I could probably ask a lot of people and say, hey, how do you feel about farming the same domain over and over and over again for character talent level ups or artifacts? They're probably not going to want to like. They're not going to want to do that all the time. So even the developers themselves, in the next quote, they said, we are also working on designing more interesting gameplay in the future. As an open world game, Genshin Impact has a natural compatibility with various types of gameplay. I mean, if they can give us other types of activities to give us other kinds of rewards, I would rather do that than do the same domain day after day after day just to get, you know, character talent level ups. And even from like the doing the story, I got quite a lot of talent uh, talent books for Akali and Candice. That was way better than doing a domain
Yeah, but
because
remember
I
we're
could
talking
actually
about the
play
end
other
game.
parts.
Remember end game. So like once story's
No, true,
done,
true,
once
yeah,
you have nothing left to do, what's the end game, right? What's the last thing to do?
right. Like to me, when my end game is perfecting my characters, just so that they are prepared for anything that is added in the future. Like they're genuinely adding better open world NPCs to fight. Even like the new domain where you get the Dendro artifacts from, that those three mobs, they freeze you and do superconduct on you, and they just hit hard. They really almost impervious to stuns most of the time. That's genuinely a challenge. It's not like a boss, but it does add challenge to a basic domain. So it kind of encourages you to get your other teams up to farm artifacts or farm anything else. But I, regarding Spiral Abyss, personally, this is just me personally. I don't want to do that at all unless it's for Prima Gems. I do it once and I leave. I like to do everything else. So if they are going to make another type of activity, it probably should be a little bit different from Spiral Abyss because I know people were even saying like a survival type or the what was that Hyakunin Ishin?
Oh yeah, Hakunichi.
That other yeah, that one was fun too
Yeah,
because you have
I
little
like
buffs that
that
you can
because
pick
like
per level.
that's another one where like I like that one because it's like groups of two, like two, 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 and while that doesn't like fit in
Mm-hmm.
with like the general way that the characters are designed all the time, um, it's fun because it lets you use all your characters. Like I think it lets you use all your characters more quickly, than like Spiral Abyss does, for example. Um,
Yeah, that also brings up to the other quote they said. So the developer said regarding power creep and like updating older characters too. They said if a character is only assessed by a single dimension of numerical strength, power creep could indeed be an issue, which I completely agree with. New battlegrounds, challenge levels, or even new team builds all have potential to bring new life to existing content. When they introduced Dendro, I had no reason to ever use Kaching and Lisa before this because I had Raiden Shogun. But then once Dendro was introduced, I thought, wait a second, I could bring Lisa back into a team. I could bring Kaching back into a team, and they are now in my current teams. So they can introduce other things to the game to be more accommodating to those older characters. And of course, every other character is going to get buffed in the same way, I guess. But it gives
mm,
you reasons to use older characters because there's other things to use them for now. Not just, hey, this character does bigger number. I'm only going to use character that does bigger number. Like, I like using Klee on a team, even though you have her and you don't use her on a team because you don't like her playstyle.
mm,
That's what I'm getting at. People like using their own toys and their own tools for Spiral Abyss or for domains or for all these other events. So if they're going to be doing that instead of doing a direct buff just to make them do bigger number, I'm fine with that too. But people are always going to choose reasons to use an older character just because. So I'm looking forward to just new refreshing stuff, not just going back and arbitrarily changing something and there's still no reason to use them anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. What I'd be the only thing I'd be worried about is like if they have characters that start becoming too similar to each other, like Xingqiu and Yelan. Like they're different, but they have very similar place in a team, and so like when you start having to like when you would like have to start picking the objectively better one, for optimizing teams and stuff like that, I think that's where a lot of people start getting worried. But I mean, at the end, in the end, it comes down to like what characters do you like, and the actual nuances and difference in gameplay that they do have. Um, so like, yeah, like like it just depends on kind of what you want as well. With the old characters. Um, so yeah, I think people that even if the character, I mean, like for like my, I have friends that are a really good example of this, but like they will only level characters they like aesthetically. Like they don't even think about like how hardcore they're like they don't hardcore think about their team composition and like their optimization. Like they just play and enjoy it and play as the characters they like. So, you know, if we're talking about character strength in general, then I think that even that is like a like why is power creep an issue if there's no content to use power creep on? Like you know what I mean? Like the reason
Which
power
brings
creep
them back to the endgame thing,
right,
right? They
exactly.
want something to use all that power for.
Right, exactly. And then that and the things that they're thinking about are like limited time events and different kinds of like but that's the other question, right? Is like it's like okay, we're working on designing more interesting gameplay. So if that interesting gameplay like this trading card game that's coming out, if that has nothing to do with your characters that you've been leveling, then what's the point of leveling your characters? That's the big question, right? It's like if you're not giving me something to use my build characters on, like you said I build my characters to prepare for the upcoming story content. But okay, but what happens when the you build up your characters and story content doesn't come for 5 weeks? Just stop playing the game, or you just play the limited time event that you can finish in probably an afternoon sitting, and then after that you just have nothing else to do again, and you just explore the world. That's what a lot of people are wondering, because especially the people and remember a lot of the conversation for this game comes from content creator ish people who spend a lot of time on this game, like full time job streaming and making content for this game, and they want more stuff. But I think the other side of this conversation is that the majority of people that play this game are not content creators. The majority of people that play this game do not sit and play this game for 8 hours a day. That's why the resin system even exists, is to like stop people from doing that.
Exactly.
So, and it's to encourage people to come back long term, right? Like this game is not designed to be like a normal MMO. It's not an MMO. Like it's not meant for you to be there for hours and hours and hours and playing. And there's so much content. Oh my gosh, like it's not what it's. That's not the goal. And I think that that is something that a lot of people would probably need to understand. Um, I understand that people say like, okay, the people that are talking about this are usually the people that spend a ton of money on this game. So why are they not listening to the people who spend the most money? Well, even though they spend a lot of money on it, to be fair, I think they actually make more money from the mass amount of people that play the game that spend a little bit of money than the one person that spends a bunch of money. Like that's the state of Genshin. There are other games where the majority of the money comes from like certain individuals that play the game, but in this case, I think Genshin is so big that they are trying to cater to the widest variety of people, which is why they're adding like a card game. Like no one expected that. I think it's so cool. Like I really like that. I'm looking forward to it. Of course, I want to use my character for other things, but I think for 2 years into this game's life cycle and the amount of changes that they have made, it's like generally positive. Like they added the housing system, they added the cards, they're gonna add more stuff in the future, and I think they've already shown that they can add more stuff by through some of these events. And so I'm really excited for what they could come out with. But I think a lot of this stuff is a non-issue, that is just being picked apart by people who play the game way too much. And I think that the game is not necessarily built around those people. You know what I mean? And I think that's where this big discussion comes in.
And you gotta keep in mind too, like the only people who you see discussing these things are the people who are taking the time out of their day to make a post on Reddit and Twitter. There's a lot of people who just don't even bother doing that because they're fine.
Because they're too busy
And they're
enjoying the
just trying to have
game.
fun. They're too busy enjoying the game. They're having fun with their friends, or they're playing, or they're working, or doing something else. They have enough time to enjoy the rest of their life. Whereas the people who have no life are looking at this and say, hey, I want you to increase the value of the game and put things I want in the game because I live in this game.
Yeah.
That's not the people that Hoyoverse is catering to.
But you know what's funny about that?
10% are the whales, 90% are not.
I mean, we don't have those statistics specifically, but they're,
Well, yeah, I mean,
yeah.
roughly.
But like knowing how big the game is, it's not too far off to. It's not like a far fetched thought to think that's the state of the game right now. Um, Genshin Hoyoverse recently ran a campaign on Genshin for like the 2-year anniversary. That's like endless journeys, and they asked for a bunch of stories from different players. And one of the stories that was posted, I just happened to see this post. I think it was in like a New York subway or something, but it's on a wall in a poster there, and it says like it's from some player, I don't know from where or what, but it says, Genshin is great because I can spend the day in the game doing whatever I want and not be judged for it. I can go into the game and fight bad guys, fight battles, do domains, and spend time with combat, or I can spend another day just going down to the shrine in Inazuma and just counting the sakura petals as they fall off the trees, and no one would judge me for it, like because that's how I choose to have fun. Like there's so many
See,
things
there you
in
go.
the game.
That's great.
Yeah, like
I love
so
that.
many ways you can play the game, and that people can get enjoyment out of it. That these people who are just so like hardcore about their own ideals kind of forget sometimes. Like the game is really good. Like nitpicking and the things you want is not necessarily and then the devs not responding to that directly is not necessarily a bad thing for the game or even for the players. It's just maybe just for you your opinion. And that's the difficult part that comes in because the vocal people are the people that cause these discussions to happen, right? Um, to
True.
to be honest, like I think a lot of those questions they were just kind of trying to avoid answering. Like the GameSpot people were like kind of trying to fish for new information that's from like upcoming content, but they're basically like, well, we can't really comment on that. So keep doing what's there, like like the resin
Well,
system increasing and all this stuff.
one thing for sure isn't happening is they're not going to increase the resin cap because that's what they implied.
Well,
They didn't
that's
say
not
yes
for
or no,
sure
but they
because
also
they
told about.
didn't imply it, right? Like I mean they implied it, not said it.
Okay, well, but yeah, maybe they're not going to do anything to resin. Maybe they are, but if they were going to do any kind of other elemental reactions with Geo and Cryo, they said we have no plans for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to expect that because honestly, if they have like a lore reason why, that also works. But if there's just no reason to because Geo and Leaf don't do anything, Frozen and Leaf don't do anything, I'm fine with that too. It would have been nice, but I'm okay with that answer. It's not like a big letdown. There's already really good reasons to use other elements with Dendro anyways. So I'm I'm already looking forward to like the next characters, whatever they're going to be able to do and how they're going to interact with all the other elements.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to keep looking forward.
Yeah, I mean it's so interesting that the like they say in the interview that like when they say is there a chance we see a cap increase for the original resin or quicker regeneration rate to allow players to take on more of these challenges each day, and it says like domains, bosses, and ley lines are important means to farm character and weapon essential materials and are required to claim these as rewards. Meanwhile, we're also providing more options for gamers to obtain character development options items, right? Like for example, many character and weapon essential materials can be obtained and redeemed from events that we run periodically. So instead of giving you more resources to farm the game, instead of giving you more resources so that you can do the same thing over and over again, they're trying to provide different ways for you to obtain the same materials. Right? So it's clear what
Which
their
I
priorities are.
prefer.
Yeah, it's clear what their priorities are. They want you to enjoy the game and not make it a slog, like not make it you have to push yourself through the same content over and over again just to progress your character. Like I think they are thinking about the player base in the long run. Like I get the again the people that are complaining about not having enough resin are the people that play the game way too much. So so I get that because I play the game a lot too, but I'm trying to find ways to keep myself entertained in the game, and there's so many things to do. And when they add the card thing in, I think that's going to add a whole extra layer, and I think people are going to forget about why they hate it because it's going to be hopefully good, and I think they're going to, I have high hopes for it. So, yeah. Oh,
Did you want to skip Sino and Candace, go right to community because we're almost like an hour in? Because I know you have to leave pretty soon.
yeah. No, I think we can do like a quick general thing. Um, just talking about it. Okay.
Okay, so like
Oh, but here I'll
Sino
lead. I'll
Candace
lead. I'll
impressions
lead.
then.
I'll lead
Cool.
here. Um,
Cool.
so yeah, just for like final thoughts, like on this like dev interview discussion. Like Kahi, like what do you hope to see? Like how do you feel about the devs after reading this interview?
It was unclear and clear at the same time, but I like knowing that their design philosophy is more broad than just cater to every whim of the vocal community. They have a vision for the game. They are sticking to it, which I respect because there's too many developers nowadays that are so afraid of backlash. They're so afraid of causing drama or so afraid of like angering a certain part of their community that they just end up making the game specifically for those people, and then somehow it just goes off the rail of the original vision for the game. Hoyoverse wants the game to be like a certain way, and they are saying this is what we are trying to do. I am okay with what they're trying to do. I prefer having more kinds of activities than just capitalizing on the same activity over and over and over again. Everyone could use more resin. I'm sure everyone can agree on that. But if they're going to give us other ways to get the materials that you would use the resin on, I prefer that instead. Because I don't want to just keep going into the same domain all the time.
Right?
Anyone would, anyone would get tired of that. If they're saying their focus is giving us newer content, newer activities, and new reasons to play other characters, not just increase and make bigger number, I'm all for that. So the interview, I'm fine with. But I completely understand why a lot of people aren't. But I'm fine with this.
Yeah. I agree. Like I think that the player base needs to kind of think wider when it comes to these kind of issues because like just because you want something and there are a lot of other people that voice that they want the same thing doesn't mean that that is what everyone actually wants. Like just because you're vocal and other people are vocal, it doesn't mean that those are the only people that exist that are actually answering the surveys, that are actually like talking to people that work at Hoyoverse. And like I'm as a big company, yes, I'm sure they want money, but at the same time, they've done a lot to try to improve the gameplay experience. In this past 2 years that the game has been out, is much better place. Like they did raise the resin cap once, right? Like they did do that. Like I don't know if people forget that,
From
but
120 to 160.
yeah, which is a whole condensed resin, and it lets you do the daily mission for the battle pass in one day, in one sitting, instead of having to like come back later. Like they take feedback and they listen to it. So anybody saying they don't do that needs to remember or look up, if they weren't playing at the time, that they do listen to feedback and that they do care. Um, Now as far as like uh, solutions, like my personal thought that I had was it would be really cool. Like they kind of experimented with this before, but if we could get like a create a domain mode that like lets us choose the enemies, their strength when they appear, ley line effects, and then like share them with people with like a custom, created room code, and make that co-op. That's like unlimited end game content right there. That's like um you can test builds on the certain kind of enemies that you want to test them against with the certain ley line effects that you want to test them against. Like, I think that would be a really cool mode that would keep the end game and the content creators satisfied for a really long time. They had a mode where we could create our own domain, but it was more of like a puzzle, Mario style like platformer running room that you created, but not combat. But I think that they could do it. Like, what do you think about that idea, Kahi?
I like that idea because you encourage co-op. you encourage new style of gameplay. You have people who use the meme characters, and the other people who do the hyper carries with their characters. I mean, that's fine. It gives people more things to do and play with the community. I think they should invest more into co-op stuff. But
Same.
I mean, for my solution as far as like materials and farming and endgame stuff, I mean, even to solve the problem of people like skipping stories and everything, if you offered more rewards in the story and quests themselves, people would then take their time to find and do those quests. If you have people who click the skip button, they don't get the reward. But if you read the whole thing, we'll give you an artifact.
Incentive.
Okay,
Yeah.
now people will read it. It's an incentive. I prefer that than going into the same domain for the entire day, waste all my resin, and then do something else.
Yeah. Or even like
Because I want to do the other
or
things.
even
I
like
want to do the
jump
other stuff
in and
already.
do like just condense resin, condense resin, condense resin. That's my whole day in Genshin. Bye. Like, I get that it's a mobile game, so you should be able to do that. But I don't want that to be the only thing I do to be able to progress,
Right.
right? So yeah, no, I
I would
agree.
say put more stuff into open world or the quests themselves. Like after every quest step, you get a talent level up material. I would personally prefer like if they put way better like chests. Like have an artifact come from a chest that's guaranteed gold, and then people will farm the chest, or even like have them refresh every week,
Well, who
something
knows?
like
In
that.
the
If they go to
future,
the
like
chest, they find it again.
like they could do a thing where they like you go into like the dark version or the alternate world version of Teva, and like the whole map just becomes a brand new map again. You know what I mean? Like different treasure chests in different
The whole thing's
places,
a domain.
stronger enemies. You know what I mean? Like it could be like exploring the dark world. Like I feel like that's probably something they're gonna do in the future. To be honest, isn't like I could see them doing it like a Hoyoverse thing.
Well, before we continue, one last question: should there be a cap on world level if people want a challenge? Should there be a cap on world level, or should it be infinite? So like all the numbers keep going up, and the whales can actually
I
have more
I
reasons
I
to do
think
open
it's
world
gonna
content
be.
too.
I think it's gonna be like that. I think, in fact, I think you should one better, dude. I think they should let you increase the world level by one, and then get even better rewards. Because
Well, yeah, but should it be infinite? Can they
no,
keep
yeah,
going up to
infinite.
appease the people who have already
I think
spent?
it's fine because the game scales with your level, right? But like imagine like for quote unquote end game content, you like they release a new area or whatever, and you scale up your world one or two world levels, and you get extra rewards, but the game becomes insanely hard. That can be like appeasement for these people. Like just bump up the
Wait, that's how it
scaling.
works, though, right?
Yeah, but no, but you can't scale past your current world level. You can't do that. Like you have to level up your
Well, because the
adventuring.
max is 8 right now. The
Right,
max is 8.
right.
So,
But
are you saying like
as
you just
they
want like
add
one more?
as they add content to the game, like right now because it takes so long to level up your AR, we can't see past this, right? Like we can't they haven't added anything past this. But I think that as the game gets content added to it, they will increase the world cap, right? If they decide to do that. If they decide that 90 is
Yeah.
the cap, then that's it, and then that's how it is. But if they decide to bump up the game to level 100 and everybody gets a world cap increase, then that's one thing. But I feel like you should be able to do like world level 8 plus and then world level 8 plus plus and then like everything in the game becomes harder and you can really like test your metal
Oh,
against the
like
world.
prestige rank or something.
Yeah, like
Like a prestige rank thing.
you've run out of content to do, so you level up your world level, and then all the domains become super hard. You know what I mean? Like everything becomes like a spiral abyss. Like I feel like that's just one extra way to do. Like you get slightly more resources, right? Imagine like you get a third artifact, or you get like some or like a second artifact for like a normal dungeon, or you get this or that. I think there's so many creative solutions they could come up with in the future that don't involve creating another spiral abyss. So we'll see, right?
We'll see. I'm looking forward to new stuff instead of just the same old stuff again.
Yeah, me too. Okay. Um. So let's quickly talk about our Sino and Candace impressions. Now, generally these two characters are super new, and they're not like new elements. There's Electro and a Hydro, but I think that they are pretty interesting. They have some unique mechanics about them, and like just it's still early, so there's still not too much to say in terms of optimization or making them, like what's the best team, for, I mean, for what different teams that you can experiment with. But like just general thoughts and impressions. I have Sino and Candice. Kahi, I know you only have Candice, but let's start with you, Kahi, and the 4-star Candice. What do you think about Candice so far? How has your experience been?
So I love Candace because she gives me reasons to use older teammates, older characters. This brings up my point about like you don't have to directly just buff and make them do bigger number to make them usable again. I haven't used Rosaria in a team for a very long time because I have other characters, other Frost characters, or like Cryo characters. They're fine. But when Candace came into the picture, her ability, her burst that allows her to infuse Hydro to pole arms, swords, and claymores means that my Rosaria can freeze on demand and still do way more damage on her basic attacks. Honestly, Rosaria has one of the best basic attacks in the game just because she does the most hits and they hit hard. I have her, I have Rosaria in a team. I have Candice, I have Beto, and I have Jean.
Do you put
So
hydro damage on Rosario?
yeah, no, because Candice's burst infuses pole arms with Hydro.
Right,
So
but I
for
mean, do
Rosaria, I
you
use her
for
ability.
Rosaria's like her goblet? Do you put hydro damage goblet?
No, I just put basic attack because it infuses that and just
I
makes it
see.
Hydro. But the fact is, I am getting elemental damage anyways,
I got it.
and this brings me to the reason why I put Beto on the team, because she also has their Electro aura and gives her a shield. So I do Candace's all or her burst, I do Beto's burst, and then I switch to Rosario, and she's causing all kinds of havoc with the superconducts, with the freeze, and she does a really high attack anyways. I'm getting like 10,000 per basic attack, and then I have Jean just because I have to have a healer, and she's a sword, so she can still benefit from the damage boost, and she can swirl.
Oh yeah,
So
that's
I
true.
have a really good team, and they're like cosmetically they look like they're supposed to be in the same team. They're all tall females. They all like completely badass. We have two
That's
counters. We
the
have a
most
freeze
important thing,
comp.
right? Waifus over meta.
Yeah, aesthetic. It's thematic.
Not waifu
It
over
looks
meta,
cool.
waifu plus meta.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is. I am playing. I am playing the meta game. I am playing my own game within the game, completely ignoring what everyone else wants me to use.
Hey, Gene,
I
Gene
I
with
told you this a long time ago.
a hydro application sounds fun.
Mhm. Yeah. Plus, too, like I told you a long time ago. I didn't even level Bennett
Yeah,
because I don't really like Bennett.
his aesthetic,
Doesn't really fit
Yeah,
with all
yeah.
the other teams. Yeah, he just seems like a brat. But still, I have good teams that are now getting more and more use out of Candace being in the picture. Granted, I haven't really tried Candace with like other characters just because I kind of found her perfect team. But
But
I
that
could
can
use maybe
change.
a range character. That could change if they start to bring some other people into the picture, like the next Archon or maybe some other Dendro characters. Or I don't know. I like Candace because she's another counter counter unit like Beto and um dang it, what was her name again?
Uh, what?
Uh
Yunjin.
starts with Yunjin, right? I keep thinking Yulan, but no, that's someone else. Yunjin, I have her on another team with Zhao and Noel. But getting back to Candace, there's one thing I've actually noticed about her basic attacks. So she has a shield, right? So when you use her basic attacks and she uses her shield, that actually counts as like a blunt attack. And when you use swords against a frozen enemy, they don't really break, they don't really crack. But when you use Candace on a frozen enemy, when her shield attack hits, they immediately break, like how you would use it with a claymore.
Oh,
So she can cause like shatter. So it's
interesting.
another elemental reaction. Not too many people remember, but if you use a claymore on a frozen
Yeah,
enemy,
they shatter.
they
It
actually
does
get
extra
shatter
damage.
damage.
It does
Yeah,
physical damage too, right?
right. So she can interact with a lot more. She's a hydro free superconduct swirl team, and yeah, aesthetically she's great.
Yeah, it
I'm
sounds
really
fun.
glad I got this character. I don't need another. I could use another one, but I just wanted one.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
still saving
hopefully,
up
hopefully
for
you get one more
Kusanali.
because that burst lasting 3 extra seconds is kind of like should be base kit, but
Mm,
yeah,
yeah, but I'm good. I want to still save
yeah.
up.
I mean, like
I got the character. I'm good.
you might get it randomly in this standard banner going forward or in a different banner,
Hmm.
but yeah. Anyway, cool. Yeah, I am just in love with Candace's aesthetic design and Cyno's for that matter. Like I love the Egyptian aesthetic. Um, but yeah, I mean, that sounds great. Like I'm really just it's always interesting for me to hear you talk about Rosaria because like I don't know that many people that use Rosaria and I don't use Rosaria that much. So it's cool that you use her. So yeah. So uh so
So what about Sino? Like, how's Sino been to you?
so Sino is really interesting and the one thing I think about when I think about Sino is like selfish. Like he wants to spend so much time, like as much time as possible on the field doing his burst, right? Which lasts like good, I don't know, like 9 seconds or plus or something. And I was watching some videos online about like how to, like some comps that like people are using to try to maximize his damage just because, right? And like he has like a really interesting mechanic where he can like do his they basically want you to do his elemental skill off cooldown while you're in burst. So like every 2 seconds when this like eye appears on the screen, like if you've done his trial, you know what I'm talking about. But when this eye appears on the screen, you press elemental skill and you do like an enhanced version of your skill in burst mode. And it's really cool. And he feels really cool to play as. Definitely helps to have like a shield or something so you can just keep slashing away. But he he basically just wants to be on the field for a long time. And right now, Dendro plus Electro is very strong, right? Like having him be with a Dendro character really helps. But the thing is, like, because he moves around, or if you're fighting an enemy that moves around a lot, um, right now the current Dendro characters we have, they all make like a Dendro field that just stays still. And the problem is that if the enemy gets out of that field, you can't apply Dendro anymore. So until I saw this in a video too, like until that they add a character like Xingqiu or someone that provides like Dendro that goes with you as you move, his Dendro Electro isn't going to be like that strong. Because like it is strong if you're in one area, but if you're moving around the map, it's going to be hard to play against a bunch of different kind of enemies. But overall, I like using him with Candace just because like Candace buffs like your elemental damage on your normal attacks, and most of his attacks are normal attacks. And it's just fun to use Candace and Sino in the same team for me. Um, but I really think he's really fun, and I'm looking forward to building him. He's only at level 70 right now for me, I think, but like he still does pretty decent damage, and I'm looking forward to just building him up because he's very fun to play, and I think that he'd be really fun to play in co-op with someone else who's electric on the other team, so that you can get energy back because yeah, he basically just does his own thing the whole time, so it's pretty cool. But we'll see. Like, I mean, it's
Um,
still early, right? So
what would you say is like a good weapon for him if you don't have his 5-star pole arm?
If you don't have his 5-star pole arm, um, I mean, so like, do you want to know like for free to play
Yeah, like what are you
or
using?
so actually, I'm just using Jade Primordial Jade Wing Spear, which is 5-star, and because
Oh,
I
that's Zhao's one,
Shao's
right?
weapon, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
because it
Mhm.
increases your attack speed and you get more damage off of basic attacks, so it's really really strong on him. But other people use like I mean besides his normal weapon, like the weapon from his banner, like Blackcliff or Deathmatch, just ones that give like crit damage or crit rate. He's a DPS, so he wants to do as much as possible.
Mm,
So
yeah.
anything crit damage, crit rate is really good on him. What are you using on Candace, by the way?
So on Candace, I'm using the prototype Star Glitter, which is something you can craft for free. And the added bonus is that it matches her aesthetic almost perfectly, because her headdress is kind of like a crescent moon. The prototype Star Glitter is black and gold and has like a crescent in it. Kind of looks like a almost almost looks like a scythe, but just the way her when I look at my character, when I see like the moon on her head curling one way and then the spear curling the other way, it gives like this asymmetrical look. The same warm colors, black pole, glowing gold
Mm-hmm.
trim. It matches really well, and its main stat is energy recharge,
Yeah.
45% at rank 5,
Yeah.
level 90.
Do
And
you have the
yeah,
catch?
you want her to use her burst. I don't have the catch because I just honestly don't like how it looks.
Oh, but do you
Because
have the catch?
every other no,
Oh,
every other polearm user that I use actively has a better weapon.
I see. Catch is pretty good though. You should probably at least get one of those. But Skyward Spine, I'm using that. You have that?
Skyward
The 5 star?
Spine. Wait, is that a polearm?
Yeah. It's the 5 star Skyward for pole arms.
Oh, Skyward, right, right. No, I don't have that
Oh,
polearm.
okay.
I have pretty much all the other Skyward weapons except that.
So I have that one, and it's energy recharge. Very good on her. And also, in my opinion, matches her aesthetic pretty decently.
Oh yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. I just realized like the type of clay like color blue. Oh dang, that would be perfect.
Yeah, so
But I don't have
I
it,
have
and
that
I'm not
on
gonna roll for
Raiden
it.
Shogun. So I mean, you can get it randomly, right? It's like in standard banner. So, um,
Yeah, true. But
it is definitely my recommendation. That's what I've been using on her. Um, so yeah, so I mean, Sino and Candace still out pretty early. Um, we'll talk more about it as we go on. If you want to see me using them, I'm gonna be using them on stream. So I'm leveling them up right now, but very very fun characters, really cool aesthetic. So let's move on to our last section of the day, which is of course the community discussion. Now, like last week, we asked everybody to ask us some questions, so we're just gonna quickly answer some of these. I'm just gonna go like down the list here one at a time. So, first is Scarlet, which is what are your opinions on Sino's banner and the characters? Love you guys. Oh, thanks, Scarlet. So yeah, actually, I mean, we just talked about our opinions on the characters, specifically Sino and Candace, but Kuki and Sayu are the other two characters on the banner. And I love both of those characters, both good healers, and I think Sayu has like super interesting playstyle. It's really fun if you mix it with the right stuff. And Kuki, I just love the design so much. What about you, Kahi?
same Cookie. I did not realize how valuable Cookie was going to be with Dendro because
Yeah,
she activates everything. She activates all the open world puzzles and mushrooms and everything. She interacts with Dendro over and over and over again, and her aura translates to other characters perfectly. She's the perfect person to cause reactions. I told you like my build a long time ago. I actually gave her like a physical damage buff because her skill constantly hits and triggers the pale flame artifact set.
right.
So physical Cookie is still viable, and just she mixes so well with other teams. It's hard not to find a good team with her
Yeah,
because
I use it for like
I got
everything now.
Kokomi and I still put Cookie in it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have two healers on the team now, and it still makes sense, and I'm doing really good damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cookie's great. She's a great enabling character if you want to build a team, but you're worried about healing. She she is perfect for that.
Yeah, super great. I've been using her with Beto too, like just to have two electro characters and different DPSs, just trying stuff. But she's fun. I got her C6 recently while I was rolling for Sino, so that's like really great to test out her damage with. But I mostly use her for heals. So which let's see. So Ron I'll die says, what do you think are the numbers of the Fatui Harbingers? And so we actually answered this in episode 4 in Holy Harbingers. So I recommend you check that out because we do a whole discussion on the Harbingers as they showed up in that cutscene that came out a couple months ago. But I recommend it there. Definitely want you to check out that episode. So I'm not going to answer that here. Pimzo Balto. Hey,
There's a
Pimzo.
lot of characters.
Pimzo.
Hey, Pimzo.
Which characters are you guys saving for? Who are your favorite characters? What is your least favorite character? Mine is Chi Chi. She is C2. Okay. And then Sam also said, who is your favorite character? One for like story and lore, and then one to play with. So, what characters am I saving for? To be honest, at this point, I'm probably just saving for Nahida. And I'm not even that excited to. I don't know if I'm gonna roll on Nilu, to be honest, but right now I have all the characters. I would love to keep getting all the characters, but it's gonna depend on 50-50 and all this stuff. Um, but I'll hide them as the other character I'm super super hyped for. What about you, Kahi?
So, yep, same thing. I'm gonna skip Nilu because I have Candace. I was only gonna roll on Nilu's banner because I thought I didn't need Sino at all, and but then I got greedy and I just made one little roll to kind of even out my wish numbers, and I got her on the first pull, so I don't have to roll at all anymore. I am saving for Nahida definitely because I already have a team prep for her with the other Archons, and I am definitely going to get Dea because I want
Oh
someone
yes.
that matches the Wolfstone Gravestone,
Oh my God, you have that.
that sword. Yes, and I actually don't want to keep using Diluc if I need a pyro character because I've been using Klee anytime I need pyro stuff.
Hmm.
I have Hu Tao, but honestly I can't I can't mix her with another team properly. I mean, I don't know.
Hmm.
Maybe I'll still keep her on the back burner, but Dea having a Claymore pyro user with that aesthetic, yes,
Yes.
that is my jam. I
Okay.
definitely am going to be saving for those two.
And who is your lightning round? Who is your favorite characters? Mine is Yoimiya and Shenhe. What about you?
Right in Shogun. And as far as like other lore reason, probably Zhongli.
Nice. And who's your least favorite character? Bennett?
Oh, not Bennett. But, who's that one girl? Oh, Jinyan.
Xinyan or Xiangling?
Yeah. So Shangling was cool, but Xinyan is just because I can't use her.
I see.
I tried to
So
find a good
like
team with her. It's
character
just
wise, right? She's kind
not
of
that great.
not good,
Okay,
unfortunately.
Xinyan's cool,
Yeah, her
but
character's
like,
cool.
oh, if
Yeah.
I had to pick like personality wise, probably Goro.
Oh yeah, I get that. He's kind of just there for me. I mean, I'm not like super into his like whole thing. But anyway, yes, same. I kind of agree with that. So from Tiyuri, who is the hardest mob slash boss to you guys? Who's the hardest mob or boss to you?
Hardest boss, probably level. I mean, I don't know if this counts as a spoiler, but I mean, it's been a while anyways. So, Raiden Shogun V2,
Oh yeah, the from the
because you
story
have that
quest.
whole phase where yeah, you have to break her electro shield, and it doesn't matter
Hmm.
what element or physical you use, you just chip away
I
at it.
think
Then she's damageable.
it's not. I don't know if it's like hardest, but like my most annoying to fight against is Azdaha because like I don't like having like forcing myself to wait
Oh, true.
on like him and having to have a
Yeah.
shield and then all the time and like kind of like it's like if you don't bring Zhongli, it's not fun, you know. Um, what? Okay, Darklight 77. What is your favorite thing in Genshin Impact? Like story quest, or something like that. Um, my favorite thing, story. I mean, I guess story because I really like story. What about you, Kahi?
Yeah, story, even even if not too many people like how they tell the story, the fact that there is a story and the lore. I think to be more hyper accurate is like I like the lore of the place. How like the dialogue goes. Sometimes it's like I wouldn't use that word, or that seems a little bit too, no one likes Paimon. I don't know why, but she's a funny character.
Right?
I like the lore and the world of Genshin, the world of Teyvat, because there's so much stuff in it. It's not just there's reasons why this whole cave is there. There's a reason why these people say this. There's a reason why they look like this over here. I mean, there's reasons in the whole like build and craft of the world, so you can kind of tell the amount of care that was taken into it.
Okay. And what about what is for I want Venti says what's your favorite city in Genshin?
Sumeru.
Oh yeah, same. All right. Next is Peachy on Genshin. Do you know who Yao Yao is? Do you know who Yao Yao is? I looked this up. Do you know who that is?
Yao, yes, Yao Yao is another character from Liyue. I I don't know if she's another one of Baizu's helpers, or if she was also another Denjo character that they were
All
hinting
right, I
at
got you.
earlier. But I do remember
Let me
seeing
read it for
concept
you.
art.
Ready? She's Shangling's junior disciple under the martial arts master, like same martial arts master, but she's Ganyu's assistant right now.
Okay, yeah, she
Yeah.
was someone's assistant. That's what I
Yeah,
remember.
and there's like Beidou, Ganyu, Ningguang, Qiqi, and Xiangling have an about Yao Yao voiceover. So
Is she Dendro or Hydro?
we don't know. We don't know that much. We really don't. We don't know that much information. We
Okay, I
just
hope
know
she's
she
Hydro.
might be significant and maybe playable. So yeah. Oh, Yao Yao is like the I think she's Dendro. I think if it's the character, I think it is that I saw a long time ago.
Yeah,
Um,
Dendro or Hydro,
yeah.
either one. But I don't think she's Dendro just because we have Nahida coming out.
Well, yeah, we'll see. And then Java says, how would you feel about a character whose kit was geared specifically toward co-op? So I actually answered this question on stream from Java, but yeah, I think it would be really interesting if they, especially if they added more co-op content. Right now, I feel like there's not a lot of co-op content, so I don't know if I would want a character based around co-op when there's not much to do with co-op yet. What about you, Kahi?
It would be a little bit too much pressure and would only be viable in co-op. So that if you're not in co-op, you're basically like cutting your power in half.
Yeah,
So they would have to really tune that, or they would have to give like special versions of each abilities. But that's probably too much to develop for one character. So I mean, that'll be cool, but I don't think it's viable.
it is a single player focused game in most aspects. So
Yeah,
um,
with co-op, but yeah, it's focused on one person
yeah.
at a time.
All right, guys, thank you so much for those questions. And as always, thank you for responding to our discussion questions. And we want to give you a new question for next week, which is if we were given a new way to travel around Genshin, in Genshin, specifically like with the Sumeru Desert in mind, what would you like to see? So think like the boat, right? Like getting to cross the water, you need the boat. What would you like to see us to get around Tevat a lot easier? I'm sure a lot of you have thought about this. I was thinking maybe like a sand surfer, like kind of like a wind sail surfing boat thing, but on the sand, or maybe like some kind of creature or like some kind of machine. What do you think? We'll talk about it next week. Let us know. Okay, so that wraps up the show for today. Anyway, thanks for listening. If you have time, please leave us a comment and a review. We'd really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you're listening. We have a new episode every Monday. And follow us on Twitter, once again, at Genshin Guys Pod. Follow me at on Twitter at JSide Gaming, or on Twitch at twitch.tv/JSide. And Kahi, where can they find you?
Twitter KAHIYAO. And same thing, Genshin Guys Pod is the best way to contact either of us because we both check it very regularly. Let us know if you have questions on Twitter as well, and we'll probably answer it in that or even save it for the episode.
Yes, thank you. And looking forward to hearing from you soon. And as always,
Ad Astra Abyssos.
星と支援を目指せ
Enjoy.